This is Ray Brescia on Legal AF, part of the Minus Touch Network. I teach at Albany Law School, and all the opinions expressed here are my own. If you are so inclined, please subscribe, like, share this and other content you find on Legal AF. So I'm going to talk today about some news that came out that it appears that President Trump has pardoned a large group of attorneys who are associated in some way with the efforts to overturn the 2020 election. So I'm going to talk about two things. One, why this is a really big deal. And two, why maybe in the end it isn't that big a deal. But with one important caveat, that's this with respect to the second part about it being not a big deal. Okay, so let's start with the news. So Ed Martin, who is a White House official and works as the president's pardon attorney, so to speak, posted in the early hours of Monday, November 10th. On X, of all places, images of what purports to be a pardon signed by the president and dated November 7th, so from a few days before. I want to read, if you'll bear with me, I want to read one portion of this pardon declaration. It says that the president hereby grants a full, complete, and unconditional pardon to all United States citizens for conduct relating to the advice, creation, organization, execution, submission, support, voting, activities, participation in or advocacy for, or of any slate or proposed slate of presidential electors, whether or not recognized by any state or state official in connection with the 2020 presidential election, as well as for any conduct relating to their efforts to expose voting fraud and vulnerabilities in the 2020 presidential election. So a lot of stuff in there, right? Then the declaration includes a list of, I think it's about 77 attorneys who were involved in those sweeping efforts described in the pardon declaration, including a couple that I'm going to really focus on, including Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman, and Jeffrey Clark. I'm going to focus on those three. But before I do, let me tell you why I think this is kind of a big deal. Right? It's kind of a big deal because it means that individuals, lawyers who want to engage in efforts in the courts to overturn elections, to challenge elections, even if their arguments and their factual bases are baseless, that those individuals, the president has pardoned, right? So that's number one. That's a big deal. I think it's shameful that the president would do such a thing to exonerate, if you would, individuals who sought to overturn the election in ways that appear to be not just frivolous, but arguably criminal, right? Now, so that's the big deal, right? It's a big deal to do that. It's a big deal to insulate individuals for such conduct, and sends a signal. This is the biggest part of it, I think. Sends a signal that these activities will be are okay in the eyes of the president, and may send a message to those in the future who might want to engage in such activity again, that they could receive a pardon moving forward. So they will possibly, not face criminal prosecution through the U.S. Attorney's Office, through the Department of Justice, right? No federal prosecutions. And that's what this pardon says, is that these individuals cannot be federally prosecuted for the activities surrounding the 2020 election, okay? So that's number one. That's a big deal, right? That sends a message, that not only people who may have engaged in allegedly criminal conduct in the past, but who may want to do similar conduct in the future, may not face criminal prosecution, may be pardoned by this president should they engage in such activity, right? So that's a big deal. That's a big deal for our democracy. It's a big deal for the rule of law. Here's where I take some comfort, right? Mainly that this pardon doesn't affect any state prosecutions. It also doesn't affect the ability of state ethics bodies to punish these individuals for misconduct. And I said before that I was going to focus on the activities of three individuals listed on this pardon and talk about what has happened in the events after the efforts to overturn the 2020 election with respect to their licenses, right? So the three individuals I said I would talk about: Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman, and Jeffrey Clark. So most people are probably very familiar with Rudy Giuliani and some of his antics to try to overturn the results of the election. But John Eastman is a big player as well, though behind the scenes, he really set forth the legal argument, as baseless as it might be, that somehow the vice president could overturn the results of the 2020 election under the Electoral Count Act, which is not a thing, right? That's not a correct reading of the statute, as complicated as that statute was before it was amended by Congress after the 2020 election. But Eastman has faced and is facing disbarment proceedings in California, where he is admitted to practice. The case has gone, the recommendation of his disbarment has gone to the highest court in California, which is reviewing that now. And I suspect that they will affirm it. Jeffrey Clark, similarly in DC, faces disbarment. Disbarment has been recommended for him. He's also perhaps a bit of a lesser known figure in the efforts to overturn the 2020 election. His main claim to fame is he was a DOJ lawyer during the election and wanted the acting attorney general to write a letter to Georgia legislators telling them that the DOJ was investigating irregularities in the Georgia vote in 2020. It was not. It didn't see any. But Clark said that they should send such a letter anyway. He is facing disbarment for those efforts. And in DC, the DC bar officials have recommended his disbarment as well. And that's being reviewed by the DC Court of Appeals, the local court there. And finally, Rudy Giuliani has had the disbarment proceedings against him. They've run through the course of those proceedings. He has been disbarred in New York for his efforts to try to overturn the election, notably making false statements in court and out of court about the election. After he was disbarred in New York, DC, where he was also a member of the bar, acted to disbar him and did disbar him. So when we talk about lawyers' law licenses, lawyers' law licenses are largely governed by state law, by state bodies, by state courts. So something like a pardon from federal prosecution won't insulate any lawyer engaged in alleged misconduct from having to face the potential of ethical complaints filed against them, sanctions, possible suspension, possible disbarment from the practice of law for their activity. So regardless of there being a pardon that might exempt lawyers from facing federal music, so to speak, the such pardon can't extend to efforts by state bars or bodies like the DC bar and ethics committees that will review the actions of lawyers who may engage in misconduct. So I think, again, it's a sad day for the rule of law and for the legal profession and for democracy when activities such as these receive pardons like this. But I also think that if state bars and other similar bodies and the state courts hold the line and say that, no, we will still review this type of conduct and we will punish lawyers who engage in it, regardless of whether there is a federal pardon that might protect a lawyer for such activity. So that's the important caveat, right? It's not so big a deal if the state bodies will still continue to assess the ethical behavior or unethical behavior of lawyers who engage in this sort of activity. Now, there's also the possibility that if a lawyer wants to engage in this sort of misconduct in the future, that they will calculate that, well, if they do it on behalf of the president, that they will be pardoned for that activity. Then they have to know, though, that they won't necessarily be exempt from ethical activity, brought against them, ethical complaints brought against them for their actions, which could result in their complete disbarment and the loss of their law license. So, might there be somebody who would say, I don't mind, I will do whatever it takes to support, an elected official if I think I can get pardons and my law license is a small price to pay. Perhaps there are people who would do that, but I think that person is really few and far between, which is good. So, as long as state bars continue to hold the line and send a clear signal that they won't give in to pressure or, the notion that, well, a federal pardon should insulate a lawyer from state ethics proceedings, which it shouldn't, then I think we've got some ethical backstops on the lawyer who might care about their law license, who might then think twice about whether they're going to take action similar to the action that was taken in the challenge to the results of the 2020 election. So, as always, we will see what happens. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in on Legal AF, and I will see you next time.
Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.